Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Welcome to our Westchester Weekly Update. Today is Monday, April 15th, and if that date sends a little chills through your spine, you know that it's one of those dates that we have locked into the calendar every year. Today is the day that our federal and state income taxes are due, and we'll talk about that in just a second, but we're very happy to be with you here today to give you the weekly update. I'll be joined in a few minutes by Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins as we go through a long list of activities. We have a lot to ground to cover today, and we're going to be joined in a few minutes by the mayor of the village of Scarsdale, Justin Arist. We also are going to be talking about Latino U, and we have Shirley Acevedo Buontempo, who's the founder and executive director of Latino U College Access. She will be here to talk about that program. And a couple of weeks ago, we had on Good Friday also the same date of commemoration for those who've served as veterans of the Vietnam War. And so Good Friday being a day set aside for religious tradition, we still wanted to pay proper attention and respect for those who fought in the Vietnam War. And we have a friend of mine, a former Vietnam veteran, Jerry Morano from Rybrook, who's going to share some of his thoughts as we remember what that moment in time was for the brave men and women who served us during that conflict. We'll go over the parks as we always do, and we'll give you an update on Black maternal health as part of this Household Recycling Day, and I'm going to talk a little about affordable housing. So buckle up. It's going to be a nice long report, but hopefully things of interest that you'll find of some value. Let me go back to the fact that today again is our tax day for income tax filing. You have until just before 12 midnight to have your tax returns stamped at the local post offices. Most of the post offices in Westchester County shut down their operations at 5 o'clock. And if you're anxious to make sure it's in on time, 5 o'clock is only a couple of hours from where we are right now. Check in with the U.S. Postal Service to determine what post offices are open later, and will accept your returns and properly postmark it for April 15th. Those that are postmarked after April 15th are subject to a tax penalty and interest depending on the nature of your return. It's also important to note that New York State taxes are due at the exact same time, and this now gives you double responsibility. So I presume you've started it by now with only a couple of hours left to the deadline, but the deadline is approaching and do be aware of it. We are now going through the next in a number of years since the federal government lifted the full deduction of state and local taxes from our income tax. That SALT deduction, that's the acronym, state and local taxes, represents a deduction that was in place for 100 years, but was lifted a few years ago. The Congress and the former President of the United States voted to lift that. And what that did was provide a burden for those of us in New York and other states where we pay taxes to the state governments and the local governments for various services. Now, when you receive your income from whatever your source is, a certain amount of it is withheld. And that withholding for New York State taxes was something that you could deduct on your itemized deduction form, your Schedule A, when you were filing your income taxes. And it also involves taxes that you pay locally in property taxes. Now there is a cap of $10,000 for that purpose. And here in New York and other states similarly, you wind up having much more than $10,000 in cost. But that reduces the deductions that you can claim, and therefore you pay more taxes to the federal government. This strategy, when put into effect, generated for the federal government $1 trillion of additional revenue, which they then parlayed into tax cuts for certain corporations and certain high wealth individuals. So while that is a public policy debate to be had in a different forum, the impact for us is that we pay additional taxes in New York because of that. Now, when you receive money from your sources of income, your employer, or whatever else, you don't have use of the money that you're required to pay in local taxes. But the federal government doesn't take that into account. They tax you, or tax us, based on what that total income is. Even though you're required to pay some of that income for state and local taxes, that is a double taxation. So we look to our representatives in Congress and our president to reverse that in some fashion. If it's not a full restoration of the deduction, then a partial restoration leading toward a whole. That, again, is a matter of public debate, discussion at another forum, but that is the situation of what we're dealing right now, and it does affect New York's taxpayers and certainly Westchester County taxpayers. Now, on the positive side, we kind of give you something to give you hope. New York State Controller Tom DiNapoli is responsible for managing a fund of unclaimed funds which have been accumulated by those organizations that have money that belongs to you, and they could not effectively effectively return it to you. Why? Don't know the specifics, but it could be you moved and your address changed, and therefore the refund that was scheduled to you bounced back to the organization or the company that generated it. It could be a change in name. It could be any number of reasons why you didn't receive it. But having said that, there's a way for you to find if you have unclaimed funds. New York State Controller's Office, and I'll give you the website, I assume we have a graphic up here to back this up, is at www.osc.ny.gov/unclaimed-funds. OUF also gets you to the same place. You go through that website and you can search by your name. You can search by the name of other relatives, and you can look, and then you'll see a group of claims that might be attached to your name if you have a claim available. Now, there are a number of people in the state that have the same names that you and I do. When I went to check myself, I found 2 other George Latimers out there, one in Brooklyn, one on the island, and they were not me, so they weren't my claims. But look at them, and what you're looking for when you see the claim come up, if it has your name on it or a relative's name on it, look at the address that's attached to it, and if it's an address that you have or currently live at, then that's your claim. You can click it on, and you can file with a claim either through the mail or online to the New York State Controller's Office. The fastest thing to do, if you have any questions, is call their hotline at 1-800-221-9311. So I've just delivered some bad news about taxation, that the SALT tax deduction is not yet reestablished, and so you're going to have to absorb that in your obligations. But I've given you a path to find a few dollars if it's out there by going to New York State unclaimed funds. And we want to compliment Controller Thomas DiNapoli, who manages this program. He and his staff have been very responsive. We've done different events where we search for people, particularly those that don't have computers and may have some difficulty navigating the technology. And we're looking at taking another action along with the Board of Legislators to try to incentivize people getting their money back. So hopefully you'll take good use of that. You get a couple of bucks back even as you send a couple of bucks in to the government. You should know, by the way, that you might be solicited on unclaimed funds by different independent organizations that will take a fee for getting you your unclaimed funds. You certainly can use those firms, but you're not obliged to use them. You can do it on your own, and then there's no fee to pay. You get the full amount back yourself. If the money isn't claimed after several years, obviously it resides in the state's registry, and you can go take a look at that. And by the way, every state in the nation has this, so if you've lived in other states, you should look up your name in those states that you've lived in. You might find something there as well. All right, that's our helpful tip for the day. Now we turn to our municipal partner. Every week we invite one of the mayors of our cities or villages or one of the supervisors of one of our towns to join us here and talk about their municipality, whatever they'd like to talk about, whatever initiatives are at hand. We have 45 municipalities, as small as Buchanan, as large as Yonkers. Everyone is different. Everyone is a wonderful hometown for the people that live there. Today's guest is the mayor of the village of Scarsdale, which has a unique government. There are 3 governments in Westchester County that are a combination or coterminous village-town governments. And there is a difference between calling yourself a town village or a village town. It's not worth the details today for our graduate program in local government. What is important to understand is that the mayor of the village of Scarsdale is the chief elected officer of that village. He'll tell you a little bit about what's happening in the village. It is one of our stellar communities located in the central portion of southern Westchester, very accessible to the various roadways. A lot of very prominent people live there and have lived there, and we're very happy to have currently their mayor with us, Justin Harris, to tell us a little bit more about Scarsdale. Mr. Mayor, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, County Executive.
Thanks a lot. It's all yours. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm appreciative to be with you on behalf of my colleagues on the Village Board, the phenomenal team at Village Hall, and the residents of Scarsdale. As the County Executive mentioned, Scarsdale is a coterminous village and town that is home to over 18,000. It is about 6.7 square miles and is located in the center of the southern portion of Westchester County. And that is very relevant to why I'm here. Scarsdale has a rich history of volunteerism, beautiful homes, an excellent school system, and a convenient commute to Manhattan. We are a village and a park, and proud to have received designation from Tree City USA for over 40 consecutive years, and have helped to lead the charge on sustainability initiatives like food scrap recycling, not only in the county, but the state. We have had successful initiatives in partnership with our merchant community, such as Dine the Dale and Shop the Dale. Yet for many, the central location that I mentioned also means that Scarsdale is a waypoint to get somewhere or perhaps to get home at the end of a workday. You may drive through us going east or west, or by us on the Bronx River or Hutchison Parkways going north or south. But we want our friends and neighbors in the county and beyond to experience all that Scarsdale has to offer. And that is why I am excited to announce that in partnership with the SBA, the Scarsdale Business Alliance, we are introducing Destination Scarsdale, Shop, Dine, Enjoy. Destination Scarsdale will be the umbrella for many of the programs and initiatives that so many Westchester residents have come to expect and enjoy from Scarsdale, as well as the introduction of new events. They include the Scarsdale Music Festival, which will take place on Saturday, June 1st this year. Last year, the SBA added a second stage to the festival and had a record turnout. So of course, they want to build on that again. So they're adding a third stage, an acoustic-only stage, which we're very excited about, which will be a great addition, and I hope that you will all join us on June 1st for what I know will be a great day. We were proud to introduce a new Sunday farmers market in our village center last year. I am excited to share that that will be even better this year, supported by down-to-earth markets, and will be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. every Sunday through November. It begins Sunday, May 12th. We hope you'll come join us on Spencer Place at Chase Road. The SBA will also host community tables for Scarsdale community partners, Westchester County nonprofit organizations, and SBA member professional service providers. There is plenty of free parking in the Christie Place commuter lot, which can be entered at 64 East Parkway. Please follow the market on social media and scarsdale.com to learn of the many great offerings each and every week. The market can be found on both Instagram and Facebook at Scarsdale NY Farmers Market. So that's Scarsdale NY Farmers Market. You can also learn about live performances, family fun activities, art, and community spirit events that the SBA will host on designated Sundays throughout the year, including the Health and Wellness Fair in the fall. Of course, it will not come as a surprise that we are fortunate to have the support of our county government and a strong partnership with our county executive and deputy county executive. I think it is a testament to effective leadership in Westchester that every local government has strong ties to the county executive and their county legislator, ours being Ben Boykin, who I personally think is the best. I acknowledge I might be biased on that. And while we all share strong ties with the county, I think we also feel that our connections are unique and special. And I really appreciate the involvement Executive Latimer, Deputy Executive Jenkins, and Legislator Boykin have had in Scarsdale and continue to have. And that continues here as well. I mentioned that many may notice Scarsdale while driving on the Bronx River Parkway. That goes for cycling too. We are very excited for Bicycle Sundays to return next month. Of course, this storied program, which began in 1974, will start on May 5th, marking its 50th anniversary. And what better way to celebrate than to incorporate this into our Destination Scarsdale initiative? The Bicycle Sunday route travels from Exit 4 in Yonkers to here in White Plains at the county center at Exit 22. Scarsdale is basically the midpoint at Exit 12 Crane Road. On May 12th, when we kick off our farmers market, we hope that participants will take a break in their journey to join us for all the fresh and local market offerings of our farmers market, as well as some music and entertainment right off the parkway. Thanks not only to the county executive and his team, including Shari Asher, who we always appreciate and enjoy working with, but also to the County Parks Department and Parks Foundation for helping us be a small part of this incredible tradition. And the morning of May 12th at 9:30 a.m. will not only be the ribbon cutting for our farmers market, but also for Destination Scarsdale. And we are excited that County Executive Latimer and Deputy Executive Jenkins will stand with us and our other local representatives to help us celebrate. We hope you can all join us too. And please remember that Destination Scarsdale will be waiting for you every Sunday, including Bicycle Sundays, in 2024, beginning May 12th. So please, come by, say hi, shop, dine, and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Justin. Mayor Justin Arish of the Village of Scarsdale, and we thank you very much for the report and also for the work that Scarsdale has done. Scarsdale Volunteer Ambulance Corps has done a magnificent job in helping the county through the COVID situation and subsequently, and so many other major organizations have interacted from the Scarsdale community out into the greater county at large. So please extend our appreciation to the members of the village board and to others in the Scarsdale community. We look forward to working with you, as you mentioned, as we go forward. I'd also like to highlight that with each of these different weeks that we have coming up and the different individuals that are attending here, Ken Jenkins and myself are visiting each of the different local municipal governments all across the county to give them an update on what's happening at the county. So we are coming to village board meetings to give an update and make sure that the full village leaders are aware of the things that we're trying to accomplish in the county. We've had the pleasure just last week of being in Croton-on-Hudson for their village board meeting, and in prior weeks we were in Tarrytown and Elmsford, Rybrook, Larchmont. There are 45 communities, as I mentioned. We got a long way to go to get to the other 40, but we plan to reach them sometime over the course of the year and try to make that connection strong and meaningful as we go forward. Next up, I just want to touch on the issue of affordable housing. It's come up in discussions right now because New York State is dealing with housing issues as an element of trying to close out their annual budget. As we're here today on Monday, the 15th, they have not yet come to final agreement. We're hopeful that there'll be some news a little bit later this week, but that will play out as it plays out. As I've indicated, once a final arrangement is made between the two houses of the state legislature and the governor, we will invite our state legislators to come in and give us an update in this forum to talk about what's happened in the budget. But for right now, housing is a major issue. We've talked about the priority for affordable housing here in Westchester County. Now, there's a lot of voices out in the community. There are people who are advocating for different things. And I think it's important for you to understand how much we have done over the course of this administration. We have changed the direction of the county, which previously did not embrace affordable housing, and after a lawsuit was required to do a certain number of units of affordable housing to satisfy that lawsuit. That lawsuit has been completed to the satisfaction of the court, but we have gone on to work with local governments in trying to identify and incent various other examples of affordable housing. Now, affordability can come in a range of income. We know that we have a very high market rate right now. If you went out to get a one-room apartment in certain areas, you might pay as much as you pay for a mortgage payment on a home. And the average median income of Westchester residents is in six figures. So if you're trying to find affordability below that level, it starts at about an 80% number and then works its way down. One of the difficulties we have as a county government is that we are not, under New York state law, eligible to build the housing ourselves. We cannot have a county housing authority that would then go out, either identify our own land or other land, and then build affordable housing. We can only incentivize affordable housing by using resources that we have. And that's very different. Other counties around the country have different structures within their states. I've had friends of mine point out what's happening in Maryland, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, right around D.C., and the affordable housing they're able to develop, because in that state, they have the ability to do that as a county government. We are a home rule state, and we from the state level of government down, allow the local towns, villages, and cities to set the rules for land use and zoning and planning and so forth. So we work as an incentivizer for affordable housing, and we need a site and a developer and a local government willing to do that. We also are in a market of very high demand. Whenever there is available land that isn't already owned by the government, it becomes a very expensive process for us to acquire that land, because in the private sector, they can have private level market rate rents, which would get them revenue into the project of a very high level. Makes it easier for them to spend a lot of money to buy the land, and it makes it more difficult for any of us as government officials to try to compensate and obtain land where we don't already own that land. So with those impediments facing us, we have still been able to incentivize quite a bit of housing. And I just want to run down just some of the projects that have happened over the course of our tenure. Now, there are times when we incentivize using IDA funding, Industrial Development Agency funding, which is saving the developer money in sales tax, mortgage recording tax, and other costs, and incentivize them, and they add a certain number of affordable units within a larger structure that's of the market rate. So some of the numbers you see when we have 7 units in Harrison at the Avalon project at the train station, or we have 5 units in Ossining and IFCA project, it's not necessarily a standalone project of 4 units or 1 unit or 5 units. It is some affordability within an existing market rate unit. But they do count. And we are having people and families who could not afford market rate getting getting affordable housing through those arrangements. Each number of units benefits those numbers of families. Some of the more significant projects, you may see some of this on your screen, 74 units in Greenburgh, the Mayfair Apartments through Marathon Development. 42 units in Lewisboro, the Wilder Bolter project. 143 units in Mount Vernon, a project done through related companies and a local limited partnership. 95 units in New Rochelle, 219 units in New Rochelle, Georgica Green. We have a Peekskill 82-unit complex that's just opened and is now occupied. We have 34 units in Portchester, Sawpits Seniors Facility by Laz Development. 106 units in Tarrytown that have been developed. 133 units within a unit in Tuckahoe, Marble Hall Development. 129 in White Plains through the White Plains Housing Authority. 63 in Yonkers, a West Hab project, another West Hab project in Yonkers for 45 units. Conifer project in Yonkers at 146 units. These are just some of the construction numbers that are in place. These are units that are now open, they're occupied, and they are benefiting that number of families. We also have a number of projects that we have broken ground on. They're under construction. They're in some process where the plans are in place and we're just moving toward completion. 45 units in Greenburgh, 23 units in Harrison. We have some major projects in New Rochelle, 179, 119, 186 unit, all separate unit structures, stag development for the last one. Another 109 unit project in Tarrytown, quite a few more in White Plains, 96 units in an RXR Capelli project, 56 units that we just broke ground on. Ken and I were at the groundbreaking that's sponsored by Mount Hope, AME Zion Church in the eastern portion of White Plains, just on the cusp of Silver Lake. Those 56 units just ground broke over the last couple of days. 60 units in the Mulford Corporation in Yonkers, another 113 units in Yonkers, McQuestion Development for some additional units. And those numbers continue to go on through some significant locations around the county. It's important to understand that whatever we do, it won't be enough. The need for affordability is overwhelming. We had a study that was done in 2019. It's been recently updated, and it shows a need for over 10, 12,000 units of affordable housing. And then the range of affordability is a factor as well. The higher the average median income, that still makes it affordable, the more difficult it is for us to be able to satisfy those in greater financial need. So at 80% of AMI, you're dealing with a family where both spouses are working. They're not working at a high income level where they can afford market rate housing, and bringing it down with a subsidy from the county government and also state funding helps make it affordable in that range. But to get down much below 40% of AMI becomes very, very difficult. And the missing element in this is federal funding that follows the tenant rather than subsidy that follows the unit. There's only so much you can contribute to the development of a project to get the per unit cost down so it's affordable. You need to then incentivize the individual who applies for Section 8 assistance, or the overall project is built on Section 8 assistance, and we have not had a large influx from the federal government in Section 8 assistance to help bridge that gap at the lower level. So the county is doing what it can do. We're doing more for affordable housing, not just the mentioned units that I have, but ones that are on the books that we're working on trying to negotiate. Right now we made some commitments for a project in the town of Mamaroneck and some other locations around, which still have to work through some of the developmental priorities and issues. When we allocate money, we can allocate money to purchase land. We can allocate money to fix infrastructure. So you have a rock problem. You can't develop in this piece of land unless you're able to blast out rock. That's an expense. For site preparation, the county can be involved in assisting on that. We may have to extend a sewer pipe in order to service that particular project. We can also use the IDA incentivization, and we've also created a flex fund in some cases where the county's money can help close the gap in financing. And we have a number of applications to do that. We're hopeful that the flex fund concept will help us reach even more affordability. But I think it's very important for you to understand what we're doing and how we're doing it. We've made a great commitment to affordable housing. I must tell you, this is a commitment that is not being made in the counties on Long Island and the other counties of the Hudson Valley. Other than New York City, Westchester County is the leader in developing affordable housing. And I think it's very important that we understand that while the need is great, the effort, the activity, and the allocation of monies has been significant and sincere on behalf part of our government. And certainly for the the people that are living in those units, we have delivered for those individuals, that they're now in a safe and secure environment that they can afford, and those units will continue to be affordable. Individuals may be able to improve their economic situation, move out, move up into the market, leaving that unit to be used as an affordable unit in perpetuity. So our affordable housing efforts are underway. We think that they're very important. We continue to work hard to do more and to do better, but at the same time, we look back over the length of time of our tenure in office, and we see absolute concrete results. And at the end of the day, it's results that we're striving for more than anything else. So that's our update on affordable housing. The next thing we want to give you an update on is a very innovative program called Latino U. And while I'm going to let our guest, Shirley Acevedo Buontempo, who's the founder and executive director of it, explain what the program is, this is a very important project where the county, through our Invest in Kids funding, have been able to help Latino U give college access to those young folks to advance their education and obviously advance their best interests within the society. So Shirley, come and tell us a little bit more about Latino U, if you will, and thank you for your leadership and all of your hard work in making this happen.
Thank you so much, County Executive.
Thank you, Shirley.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much, County Executive Latimer and Deputy Executive Jenkins, for this invitation to speak with you today. I am Shirley Acevedo Buontempo, and I'm the founder of Latino U College Access. On behalf of our Board of Directors and our incredible LUCA team, we're grateful for this opportunity to share with you some more about our work, our mission, and the impact that this is having in the youth here in Westchester County. This is college acceptance season, and our organization is in full swing. Founded in 2012, Latino U College Access, or LUCA, is a nonprofit organization that transforms the lives of students by making college dreams a reality for low-income, first-generation to college Latino youth. We guide students who have demonstrated academic ability through individualized coaching and mentorship as they navigate higher education to successfully enroll in colleges that meet their financial and academic needs, enabling them to graduate on time and ready to enter their careers with little to no debt. As a 6-year program, we deliver culturally relevant bilingual programs that inform, guide, and support students and families through every single step of the process to not only enroll in college, but stay and graduate. This year, for example, we're excited to share with you that our cohort of high school seniors, 100 students, have submitted 1,300 applications to college and have received 700 acceptances. We are grateful for the longstanding support of the Westchester County Youth Bureau and the Invest in Kids funding, whose faith and commitment to this work has enabled LUCA to serve hundreds of families and students throughout Westchester County. We currently partner with 8 school districts that are 50% or more Latino and have assisted over 500 students to achieve their college goals. In addition, we deliver Spanish language community information sessions and FAFSA boot camps that provide important information and assistance to nearly 7,500 parents and students. This year's FAFSA application, you may have heard, has presented numerous challenges. With a new FAFSA platform, technical glitches, and difficulty in completing this new, simpler FAFSA application, FAFSA completion rates have decreased significantly. But through the support of the Board of Legislators and Westchester County Youth Bureau, we have been able to assist not only our partner school districts, but all of our scholars in ensuring that this important application for financial aid is completed on time. At LUCA, we believe that talent is universal, but unfortunately, opportunity is not. And that equitable access to education opens doors to transformative life and career opportunities that can change a life, not just for the students, but for future generations. So we leverage our program through individualized coaching and through culturally relevant programs to empower first-gen students so that they can fulfill their remarkable potential and create a more inclusive world for all. LUCA scholars receive support starting in their junior year of high school, We help them with their college applications, essays, building college lists, and completing those pesky financial aid applications. And while they go to college, we stay with them, helping them transition, stay in college, and providing career readiness support in their junior and senior year of college so that they graduate ready to enter the workforce and their chosen careers. We know that the complexity of the college admissions process often keeps those most in need and those who will benefit most from a college education out of fully participating in this process. The Brookings Institute recently summarized this best. Complexity is the friend of the privileged. Complicated systems are for those who have the time, the support, and the resources to figure them out. Students of all ages have to pass through a gauntlet of unclear information, seemingly endless steps, confusing applications and requirements, and administrative hurdles, all of which rely heavily on social and cultural capital, which is often not readily available to those of lower income, particularly students of color. At LUCA, we're determined to make this available to everyone. As the fastest growing demographic in the country and in Westchester County, Latino youth represent a significant number of college-bound students and our future workforce. LUCA is committed to supporting and ensuring their success. We recognize that there are important benefits to higher education that we cannot ignore. That people with a college degree, on average, earn more than those with only a high school diploma, have lower unemployment rates, gain social and economic mobility, especially for those who are first in their families and come from low-income families, and can contribute greatly to personal growth and increased civic engagement. These points highlight the endurance importance of higher education in college for individuals, society, and our economy. This is a benefit that not only impacts the students and the families that we serve, but impacts all of us. We thank the county and the Westchester County Youth Bureau for their support and their continued belief in the remarkable potential and the talent of our youth, especially those who will be the first in their families to go to college. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shirley.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shirley. That's a very important report, and we're very happy to know that many of the young people of Latino heritage are having an opportunity to advance. The first in my family to go to college, followed by my sister a couple of years later. I remember very, very clearly how happy my blue-collar parents were that they saw the potential for their children to uplift. And I think it's important for people to know that this county has made a commitment to our young Latinos in this county to give them that opportunity. And the opportunity with education opens many, many doors far beyond what government does for individuals. It's what the individual can then do for themselves with a career path and so forth. I saw that this week, and Ken did as well. We stopped by a technology exposition, engineering, and a host of different STEM things. It took over all of the White Plains High School, and it's a larger group that people were brought in from outside of Westchester County. But we saw a lot of young kids there, and we saw a lot of young kids who are Latino. We saw young African Americans and Asians and whites as well, and getting turned on by the opportunity of a career in engineering. And you could see that potential when someone wants to say, what's the future of America? I see a room like that, and the things that you're doing is that future, because it's an opportunity to make a great contribution. And we're very proud of what you're doing, and we thank you for it. I want to ask Ken Jenkins to join me up here. We're going to go through some other things that are a little bit more mundane, and then we'll have our special guest come on to talk a little bit about the Vietnam experience. We have one of our household recycling days coming up, and it's another date you should mark on your calendar, because this is when, I don't know if this happens in your world, but when that person that you love tells you, I want you to get all this stuff out of the garage, out of the basement, or out of the attic, and you say, how am I going to get rid of this stuff? Ken, tell them what they do with the stuff.
All right, thanks a lot, George. What they do with this stuff is they participate in one of the county's household recycling days. And the first one that's going to come up is going to be on Earth Day itself, April 20th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the FDR State Park, which is right off of the Taconic on Route 202 up on Crown Pound Road up in Yorktown. The upcoming Household Recycle Day in Yorktown will be the first event in 2024, giving residents across the county an opportunity to conveniently and safely dispose of their household waste. In addition to properly labeled chemicals, tires, scrap metal, electronics, appliances, and other special waste found in a typical household, residents can also bring documents for shredding or expired or unwanted medications for disposal at the Household Recycling Day event. Residents should place their items in their trunk or in backseat and remain in their vehicles, and the outstanding staff from the Department of Environmental Facilities will get to their cars and help unload the vehicles in the drop-off area. So you sit in your car, they walk up to the car, they take all the items out, and you do not need to move, you just need to point, as some of the commercials out there say. Generally, the following items are accepted for safe disposal and recycling. Again, properly labeled household chemicals such as household cleaning products, most automotive fluids, flammable liquids, fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, photographic and swimming pool chemicals, batteries, textiles. We just started that last year, so textiles you can bring there as well. Fire extinguishers, propane tanks, so from the barbecue or from heating or things like that. Mercury-containing devices, electronic waste, and again, expired or unwanted medications. For information about this and any other household recycling days, including the county's permanent Household Recycling Center at the Grasslands campus, go on to westchestergov.com/recycling, or you can call 914-813-5425. And again, that's very important, because those things, if people put them in our regular waste products, then that is absolutely a particular problem, because going into our water system, if you just put things down the toilet, for example, for medications, like people think that's a bad idea, don't do that. Bring them to Household Recycling Day or to some of the other places, or pharmacies that have those opportunities, or your local police department will take them as well. So again, Household Recycling Day, first one on Earth Day on April 20th.
Thank you very much, Ken. And we're going to have our next special guest speak to us, and then we'll go back to talking about parks and maternal health as we close out the report. I mentioned that on Friday, March 29th of this year, it was Good Friday, which is the most solemn day of the Christian calendar. And during that period of time, we're also going through the period of Ramadan for our Muslim brothers and sisters. And it also happened to be the annual date that's been set aside as a day to remember our Vietnam War veterans who served. We have Veterans Day in November to honor all veterans. We also have a Memorial Day to honor those who've made the ultimate sacrifice, the traditional May 30th, now on the last Monday in May. We have Gold Star Mothers recognition for the mothers of those who have lost a child in the service of the military. And then each of the major services have days that recognize their work. We remember that D-Day was important on June 6th, and the day that Pearl Harbor was bombed on December 7th. Those were dates that we bring back World War II memories. But Vietnam was a very difficult and a very controversial war. I was a young boy just about at draft level age when the war started to wind down. But many of the older brothers of my friends in the neighborhood went to Vietnam. And it was a difficult war for what was happening domestically here in the United States. But the men and the women who served their nation bravely. And they went through a very difficult process and time that was quite different from what some of the earlier wars were like. Jerry Morano is a person who's had a terrific career in marketing, advertising, Mad Men, a little after the Don Draper period of Mad Men on Madison Avenue, but he probably knew some of them when he was a young man. And he served this nation bravely in Vietnam. And so I invited him to come to talk about that experience a couple of weeks after we had that day. But Jerry, please come and tell us a little bit about the experience that you've had. And of course, you and I both have years of perspective to think back on those days. So Jerry Morano, resident of Rye Brook Village, thank you very much for being here, Jerry.
Thank you so much, George.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Let me take you back a little bit. Benoit Province, Vietnam, 1968. Heat sweat, stink, breathing in orange dirt, razor-sharp elephant grass cutting your arms like knives. Then the driving rain of the summer monsoons, cold, wet-soaked bodies, river leeches covering your legs. Then comes the fear, the anxiety, the adrenaline rush, the fierce firefight, artillery shells everywhere, choppers from above. A spooky gunship rides down from the sky with its Gatling guns blasting like a dragon on a mission from hell. Then it's over. Who's badly wounded? Who's crying for their mama? Who didn't make it? What face and smile will I no longer see? 17 to 19-year-old kids with me as their old man squad leader at age 22. My goal was to get them home, and we protected each other's backs like true brothers. We dropped red smoke and the choppers came in with circling wind, created from the rotors. They ferried us back to our fire base on blood-soaked mats. Just another day in the Nam. Sometime later, Secretary McNamara said the war was unwinnable. And then President Johnson announced he would step down. Many young people in America burned their draft cards and left for Canada. America could not separate the war from the warrior. And you all know what happened next to so many brave warriors who came home incapacitated, totally devastated, and angry at their own country. We truly felt abandoned. We built our wall in Washington, D.C. with no help from the government outside of the parcel of land on the mall. We raised funds through corporate donors, veterans, and people across the nation. We can now visit in solitude to see our brothers and sisters as their names reflect in smooth black granite. Those who died together are with each other on the day they were killed. When President Obama declared March 29th as Vietnam Veterans Day across the nation, we finally had our day. We visited Lasden Park and stopped by the memorial, the very emotional war memorial to Vietnam veterans, and all the other memorials on that beautiful trail of honor. Thank you, George, Ken, Ron Tochi, Dan Griffith, along with all of our park directors, sculptors, and workers for making this happen. As a final thought, I ask each of you to please remember our veterans. Many are in need, and we're losing 360 Vietnam veterans a day. Veterans with wounds, PTSD, Agent Orange, and so many other cancers and diseases. I'd also like to thank my beautiful wife, Allison, for being there with me through my own struggles all these years. Our veterans gave all and continue to do so to defend and protect the country we love. Please support them in this very difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, George.
Thank you. Jerry Moreno. I remember as a young boy, the Memorial Day and the Veterans Day parades as a kid in Mount Vernon. And I remember seeing the men of my father's generation who had fought in World War II and in Korea, some of them had done both, marching down and receiving the accolades of everybody in the community. World War II liberated Europe and liberated Asia from the forces of totalitarianism, and in Korea we stopped the forces of totalitarianism from taking over the full peninsula. And then when I turned 18 in 1971, I went to my draft board and waited for the lottery, which came up early in the next year, 1972. And my father told me that it would be my responsibility, my generation's responsibility, to do the same thing that his generation's responsibility had done in a very different climate, in a very different controversial war. As it turned out, those of us who were subject to the draft in 1972 and 1973 were never called up. It was a decision by President Nixon then not to bring in new recruits, and by the luck of the draw did I not have to follow the same thing that you had to follow. Within a few years, that war ended, and now I hear people going on vacation to Vietnam, touring, going on tourism. I've often wondered when we go to some of these events and we see the names of those who lost their life in Vietnam. It's a smaller number of people than there were for World War II, and so in some ways people might diminish it. But the life that was lost, that's listed, is an individual's life. And I think to myself, that person died, as you said, as a young man, slightly older than I was at the time that they died, and I had the good fortune to live. I had the good fortune to go on to college and school and all the things that have happened after that. My corporate career, being the father of a child, now being the grandfather of a couple of children, and all those things happened. And by good fortune did I have the chance to live when that person on that wall died. And I think it's hard to imagine that those that did come back were never really appreciated in that particular war. We try to compensate for that when Desert Shield brought men and women back in the 90s, and the things that have happened in Afghanistan and Iraq since then. We've never really quite closed the wound for our Vietnam friends. So thank you for coming to help us make that step in the right direction. And let it be said that here in Westchester County, we do appreciate the sacrifice. Those men, as am I, are not young men anymore. Those that are still with us. We've lost a lot who survived there, who have not survived all the years subsequently. And there's been a high incidence of health issues. There's been a high incidence of mental health issues that affected that particular cohort of people who fought because of the way that war was fought and because of the reception when they came home. So let us try to remember that not just on one day a year, but every day of the year. Jerry, thank you. Thank you very much. So we go to more prosaic situations. I want Ken to highlight what we have coming up, where we have recognition for Black maternal health. And then, of course, we always give him the parks, because that's fun. I want you to be able to deliver the fun news for people, not always the sad news. Thank you. I'll stay with you.
All right, thanks, George. Certainly, this week, April 11th through 17th, Westchester County is marking a Black Maternal Health Week. So here in the county, we are marking Black Maternal Health Week and reaffirming our commitment to end this health crisis. We're encouraging residents to participate in the county's new and ongoing initiatives that are designed to help improve Black and Brown maternal health care, health and child health outcomes, reducing healthcare inequities, and creating lasting partnerships with key community partners. Last month, County Executive George Latimer pledged an additional $1 million to extend these programs through the end of 2025, in addition to allocating the annual funding of $3 million to our federally qualified health care centers. Obtaining prenatal care is the foundation for a healthy start in life, and these programs will help it make it even more accessible. Maternal child health equity is an important goal for all our Westchester families, and myself, along with County Executive Latimer, are pleased to contribute this additional funding to our partners. The Black Maternal Health Care Child Health Initiative includes a partnership with Birth from the Earth, the Children's Health Research Foundation, Lower Hudson Valley Perinatal Network, and St. John's Riverside Hospital. Birth from the Earth offers prenatal birthing consultations, group prenatal sessions, and postpartum support groups. In 2023, nearly 90 birth workers attended trainings and more than 80 families were served. And that we have more information that's on the screen from Birth from the Earth. The Child Health Research Foundation, that's part of the Lower Hudson Valley Perinatal Network, is expanding its prenatal and postpartum home visits for residents in areas where adverse birth outcomes, such as low birth weight and premature births, are more common. A baby cafe also offers home visits and breastfeeding support. Last year, 51 families were enrolled in the home visitation program, and more than 979 parent visits were made to those baby cafes. Again, for more information, you can go to hudsonvalleychrf.org, and that's on the screen as well. And St. John's Riverside Hospital Maternity Department is working to help strengthen data analytics and administrative and program capacity of their health equity initiatives. The aim of this program is to identify areas of improvement to improve birth outcomes for Black and brown women using focus groups and data analysis. More than 150 hospital, medical, and administrative staff have participated in implicit bias training to assist in this particular effort. And all of those combined together, along with a good friend and County Executive Latimer and myself, were there with Senator Schumer in announcing the initial program, and we continued that on here in Westchester County. So with that, we'll jump right down to the parks thing, and we'll start right with the parks that our good friend Jerry Morano pointed out, which is Lasden Park and Arboretum, where all of our memorials to the many service members that have served for Westchester County, including the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, is up at Lasden Park and Arboretum. So this week we have Gardening Tuesdays that starts on Tuesday, April 16th, and it goes right through November 26th to enhance your gardening skills every Tuesday from 10 a.m. to noon, enhancing gardening skills and your plant knowledge by working side by side with gardeners at Lasden Park. They've done a fantastic job. We were there for the eclipse and looked wonderful in Lasden Park and Arboretum. This Thursday, right back at Lasden Park, the Park and Read program, that is for children 3 to 6. Parents or guardians should be with them, and it is from 11 to 11:45, and that will happen every Thursday right through the end of May to May 23rd. So April 25th, May 2nd, 9th, 16th, and 23rd. It's the Park and Read at Lasden Park and Arboretum up in Katona. It's a wonderful opportunity, and you never know when you have a county executive guest reader to come through to help bring those stories to life. On Friday, April 19th, we will continue our mall walk, which happens at the Westchester Mall here in White Plains, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. before the mall opens. But it is open for mall walking, and it is a great opportunity. You never know who you're going to see walking around inside of the Westchester Tuesdays and Fridays weekly. It's a great opportunity. Make sure to get up and about, especially when you have inclement weather. Right now we have beautiful weather, so get out and go out in the park. But again, for those that need it, more walk. This time of year, for many people like myself that are really allergy sufferers as well, that gives you a good opportunity to avoid the pollen count, looking at that and having your eyes tear up, sneezing, et cetera, that happen during this time of the year when the pollen and the green is coming out. So is my pollen allergies at the same time. So Friday the 19th as well, we're going to have an opportunity for some of our Latino Luca folks to get involved in the Salsa Festival. That's got the Westchester County Center from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. There's going to be live performances by Tony Vega, Nino Cigara, Roberto Blades, Yosimar, Javier Vasquez, Adolescente, Hiromaro, Jonathan El Latino, and those doors open at 7 p.m. You can get those tickets looking at the County Center website, and I know that our great communications team is scrolling that number and the website at the bottom of the screen. And finally, an open house on Earth Day. That's going to be at Miller House, when the county executive took great times and pain to make sure, working with our state senator, our state assembly member, David Buchwald, to bring some additional dollars in there. But we have restored and reopened the Miller House, the historic Miller House. So drop in to visit on Saturday, April 20th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to visit the former home of Ann and Elijah Miller. The Elijah Miller family, average colonial Westchester families whose lives were forever changed when George Washington, and his army fought for American independence. That's on Virginia Road in the town of Mount Pleasant, White Plains, right at the borderline there. And again, it's a great opportunity to see your county investments in our nationally accredited and award-winning park system. Back to you, Judge.
Thank you very much, Ken. I want to thank all of those who participated in today's update. Thank you for watching. We really get a choice in this world as to how we want to approach the challenges that we face every day. We can have a negative attitude, and we can see the flaws that do exist in the world, that exist in each of us as individuals, or we can see that there is opportunity and hope that we can build on and that we can make something positive come out of this. As you pay your taxes and share some frustration about what that represents, there's a small opportunity for you to see that the Unclaimed Funds program exists. You can look at the difficulties that we have with black maternal health, but you can realize there's an initiative going on to try to address that. You can see the concerns that you have about young people and the direction for the future, and then you can consider what Shirley talked about with Latino U and what that represents going forward. You see the cacophony of local governments unsure of what each one does, and then you see the mayor of Scarsdale come as the other mayors and supervisors come talking about the things that are happening in their community to help advance us. The parks programs of Westchester County, the programs that deal with household chemical cleanup to help clean the environment and clean out your basement. All of those are mixed in together. And, the words that Jerry gave us and thinking back on that Vietnam experience is one that I think has to make us understand what we fight for as Americans is this. This is freedom. And we have freedom. We have freedom to be unhappy. We have freedom to be negative. We also have freedom to be hopeful and to determine that there are things that are happening in our backyard here in this county on this day that give us the ability to build on and grow for the years to come. It's really up to us and how we decide to view the opportunities as we go forward. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Thank you for watching. We'll be back in touch with you next week for another update. And if anything important comes, earthquake, eclipse, volcano, we'll let you know. Have a great day.